Hi, my name is Steven and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how to build your ideal day, visualizing what you want to do. So if you had a vision of what your ideal day was, what would it be? How would you go about your day? For most of us, the day has already been set in stone. What we did before is what we're going to do today. We are just following a pre-written script based on our past selves. When you create an ideal day, you dream of the possibility of doing more than you ever known possible. And you allow yourself to dream of a possibility of a different life. And once you have that vision, you have the power to work backwards from it and try to achieve it in your present day life. Not only will your idealized day help you achieve long-term goals, but it also helps you to change things that you want to improve in your life by showing yourself what can be and not what you're stuck with. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about why it's so important to have an idealized day, tips and suggestions of building your own idealized day, and my general thoughts on the matter. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell, share with your friends if you like this content. And let's go. So now let's talk about why it's so important to visualize your ideal day. Number one, taking control of our life. When we're actively trying to visualize our future, we're trying to control the reality that we want and trying to see the bigger picture of how we fit into that reality. It is a way of empowerment. When we try to visualize our ideal day, we give ourselves power to do whatever we want during that day. We have free reign over what we do and the expectations that others might have on us. An ideal day is unique to each one of us, and it shows us what we prioritize during that day. As powerful or as powerless as you are presently, when you create your ideal day, you take the reins and you are able to control your destiny in that day. You are in charge of what your future life may be, and you can draw strength from it. Number two, dreaming of what's possible. Your ideal day is only limited to what your greatest dreams are, so sky is the limit. Do you want to be an astronaut, a famous musician, or you just want to lounge around on a beach somewhere? A perfect day can encompass many things: an ideal body, a perfect mental state, or a great social network of friends. Remember that this is a visualization exercise to help you try to achieve your long-term goals and seeing if it's possible to work to achieve our goals. So sky's the limit to what you can dream of. Number three, noticing the flaws. When you're building your ideal day, you start to notice how come you don't currently have your ideal day. What's missing from it? The sheer act of describing what doesn't exist currently in our lives help point out how our lives can be better. We realize that things didn't go as well as we hoped for, but that's okay. That's part of the process. Growth happens when we realize that something's missing in our lives and we want to try to better ourselves for it. So noticing that something's missing from our lives is really the first step in trying to change our lives. The goal is to build your ideal day and then compare it and contrast it with your present day life. How does it differ? What are the similarities? Once we take the step to write it down and understand what those differences are, that's the first step in understanding how to create our current day into our ideal day. So now let's talk about some of my tips on helping you build your ideal day. Number one, where are you? Where are you physically located? On a beach? In the office? Where are you presently at? This can be a great way to visualize where do you expect yourself to be in the future. Where do you see yourself? In a different city, a state, or a country, or something else? Location is generally a good indicator of where you're most comfortable at. So if you have a scene change, then maybe that tells you something. If you're not in your current location of your ideal day, then ask yourself, why is that? What can be the reason behind that? An ideal day begins with a location and it sets the stage for what you do the rest of the day. Number two, when are you? A week, a month, 5 years, 10 years? When are you in your ideal day? This gives you a time horizon of when you want to achieve your ideal day or when you expect it to happen. Thinking about our ideal day usually happens in the near term. Think 5 or 10 years down the line. Because if we go past that, it's hard for us to predict what's going to happen into the future. When we're building our ideal day, it's really helpful for us to try to predict certain things that will happen in the near future. So we eliminate a lot of the uncertainties for a longer time frame. When we subconsciously give ourselves a time frame, we're actively trying to tell ourselves to try and achieve it. So when we're thinking about our ideal day, think of when that might occur and what's the time frame of it. Number three, what are you doing? And this can be broken down into two parts. What are you doing that day, and what are you doing for your occupation, if any? So looking at your occupation first, what are you doing for your career? Are you in the same career as present day, or are you doing something else? This is the part of the visualization exercise that's going to help the most people. When they're trying to visualize their ideal day, they're also trying to visualize what career they're doing during their ideal day. If they're not doing the same thing as they're currently doing, it might show them that it's time to move on from whatever they're currently doing. You might see yourself in another role or really reassess where your career is going and where you want it to go. And when you're visualizing your ideal day and what you're doing that day, how are you going about your day? Are you working long hours? Are you spending it with family? Or are you doing something completely different? How is that day really split up? Are you working in the morning? Are you hiking in the afternoon? Or are you eating with your family in the evening? Think about how you're structuring your day and what are the things you're doing in that day. When you answer this question, it really helps you to pinpoint what is most important during your ideal day. What matters to you the most? What do you want to spend your time and energy on? So write down generally what you're doing in your ideal day and really explore why you're doing those things. And what does that mean to you? Number 4, why are you? Why did you decide to pursue this path, or what set you on that path in the first place? When you finish with your ideal day setting, now it's time to explore how you got there in the first place. Sometimes there's things in our lives that we want to do, but that we don't do because nobody pushes us or we don't push ourselves. We can give ourselves the motivational push to try and achieve that, or at the very least, examine what went wrong. Maybe there's some obstacle in our way that we don't realize until we start to envision our ideal day. Because when we do craft our ideal day, we give the freedom to explore anything that we want, to our heart's content. And what we might realize is that there are some obstacles that we stop ourselves from doing. So exploring your ideal day should also contain an element of exploring why and how you got to where you are. Number 5, how are you? Emotionally, physically, what is your mood? In your ideal day, are you happy, sad, or are you content? What are you feeling during that moment? Lost in the ideal day is really what we're feeling during that day. It's easy to say that during our ideal day we'll be happy and excited and content. But the reality could be more complicated than that. Your ideal day may not be a mix of all the happy and content things. It may be a mix of complicated emotions as well. When we're looking at our ideal day, we're mostly focused on the external things, our settings, what's making us happy in the moment, but it's also important to try to look at our internal self. What are we feeling and going through at that moment? Do we feel the correct emotions for our ideal day? For example, our ideal day could contain a night of dancing with friends. But the friends that we're with, what do we really feel about our friends? Are we happy? Are we sad? Do we like all of our friends? Do we feel pressure to act a certain way? Are we at the club because of our friends or because we really want to go clubbing? This is an example of a complex emotions that wrapped up in our ideal day of dancing is our expectations with our friends. So really think about and explore and write down what your emotions are going through your ideal day. By aligning our mood with our ideal day, we can build a strong foundation of who we want to be and how we want to feel during that day. So now let's talk about some of my general thoughts on creating your ideal day. I would definitely clear out some time and have a pencil and paper ready for this exercise. It is a doozy and it takes a lot of time. When you're visualizing your ideal day, try to take down as much detailed information as possible. Be very explicit in your day. Because the more information that you put down, the more things can be real and you can try to attain those things. So for example, what time you wake up, who you want to interact with, your ideal meal, put everything down as clearly as possible. Remember, these are the things that you want, so give yourself and your brain a target to shoot for. The goal is to craft a day that you can actually attain in the future sometime. The things that you do, the people that you interact with, and the places that you want to be are all important in crafting your ideal day. So it doesn't have to be perfect. As part of this visualization exercise, it's really to help you get a sense of what you want to do and what you want to change about yourself, if any. So I hope you enjoyed my guide into visualizing your ideal day. When we give ourselves time to define our ideal day, we give ourselves power and a glimpse of what is possible in our lives. We can see the difference of what is and what could be, and that's a powerful motivational factor for change. By knowing what we want, we can accomplish it by working backwards and try to achieve it in our current day life. The main keys in helping you visualize your ideal day is to understand as much as possible about that day, what you're doing, how you got there, and what you're feeling. And then using that day and deconstructing it so you can figure out how to make that into a reality. So thank you for watching. Please leave me a comment down below on what your ideal day would look like and how would you make that into a reality. And I'll see you next time.